Hello guys, welcome back. Jordan here from Artisan Electrics. I hope you're all doing well out there and staying safe and keeping busy. And if you're new to the channel, I really want to welcome you and I hope you subscribe. So today I've got a bit of a fun game for you. We've not done one of these in a while. It's quote me time. So last time I did this, it was a quote for a rewire in a sort of a concrete house. I'll leave a link up here somewhere so you can check that one out if you haven't seen it already. Today it's quote me for an EV charging installation. So basically the customer's got a Tesla Model 3 coming and they want an electric vehicle charging point installing. And what we're going to do is go through the various options, talk about what might be the most suitable charging point for this particular installation, and we're going to walk through it together. So we'll jump out of the van and I'll show you around and we'll talk about the various options with different types of chargers and we'll see what the best solution is. Okay? Right, so here's the property. We've just covered up the house number for security reasons, but basically this is the parking space where they usually park their car, and the charging point on the Tesla Model 3 is on the passenger side, so it would be actually around this side of the vehicle. It would be about here. So you can see the house. Ideally, really, for the charging purposes, it would be good to have the charging point kind of on the wall here somewhere. But for future-proofing reasons, it might be nice to actually have it in between the two parking spaces, because in future they might get a second electric vehicle which would go here where my van is, and in that case it would be better to have probably the charging point on here, for example. So the consumer unit is through that gate there. I'll show you that in a minute, but basically it would be good to have a charging point here, ideally with probably a tethered one with a cable long enough to reach either the car there or the vehicle that might be parked here. Also, if we did it here, it's a bit more discreet than if we did it over there, so I think here's probably going to be the best location, but let me know in the comments if you think of a better location. We've got a bit of pea shingle here, so it might be possible to run a cable down and along in the pea shingle. The only thing is that there is a concrete kind of gate post here, so that's sort of blocking the possibility to go underneath there, but we could run it maybe in the pea shingle up to this point and then tuck the cable behind and just drill a little bit out in the mortar of the bricks to go through behind that concrete pillar. I think that would be possible. The meters are here, so actually the consumer unit is very close. That's the electric meter, that's the gas meter, and the consumer unit is literally on the other side of this in a cupboard under the sort of an understairs cupboard, but it's used as a kind of utility cupboard. So again, we've got this pea shingle here, and it might be possible to just dig it in slightly so it's hidden. Otherwise it would just be clipped direct along the wall, which wouldn't be the end of the world, but preferably hidden would be a nicer option according to the customer. I'll get the meter box open and I'll show you what's going on in there. So in terms of systems, we've got 100 amp main fuse here, and then we've got a main isolator, which is nice. It's a PME system, TNCS, because we can see that the main earth is coming off the neutral block here, and we've got two earth cables going through. Presumably one of those is a bonding cable and the other one's the main earth to the consumer unit. Not sure about this. This is like an earth from the sheath or something, which is interesting. I've never really seen that before, so let me know in the comments what that is. Is that just another earth from the sheath of the cable, or is it something else? And why isn't it used? So, okay, so that's that. So let's have a look at the consumer unit now. Oh, gas meter actually. So in terms of gas, we don't have a gas bond in the meter cupboard here, but maybe it's done inside. There's no gas bond there either, it goes through the wall. So let's have a look inside here. So this is the consumer unit cupboard / utility cupboard. Okay, we do have a gas bond up here, so the gas pipe literally comes through the wall there, runs up and is bonded here, which is fine. It's got a 10mm bonding cable going to it, so that's no problem. Here is the consumer unit. It's been inspected in 2017. It is a metal consumer unit. Looks like an old Luden one. And we've got a main switch and then 2 RCDs. Doesn't look like we've got any spare ways. The only thing is we've got one circuit that's turned off that says shed. So it might be that that is actually not in use, and we might be able to use that as a spare way. But I have to check that with the customer. In fact, here we go on circuit 6. Oh no, there's a spare there, yeah, circuit 6, spare, brilliant. Okay, so we can use that way, even though it is RCD protected, which is not ideal. Well, depends which charger we put in, I guess. But might be possible to use that way anyway, so that's good. In terms of existing loading, nice that they've got a little circuit chart here. So we've got 13 amp sockets. That's obviously a ring circuit. 13 amp sockets kitchen, another ring. Shed on a 20 amp, but it's turned off, so it's probably not in use. Lighting ground, smoke alarm, spare, lighting first floor, heater, airing cupboard. What's that? That's on a 16. 13 amp sockets, loft. Wow, the loft has got its own circuit. That's amazing. And then cooker. So basically all the house sockets apart from the loft and the kitchen are on their own one ring. It's just a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. It's like an ex-council house. It's nothing massive. So it's not like they're going to have a huge amount of power running in here. They've got a gas boiler, so all the heating is done by that anyway. But obviously in here we've got a washing machine, so that's a fairly heavy load. We've got an electric cooker as well, electric oven and hob, so they have to be taken into consideration. So we have to calculate maximum demand from this in order to see if we've got enough capacity to install a 7 kilowatt charging point. So let me know in the comments what you would calculate for maximum demand, and then from that we can know whether we can put a 7 kilowatt charger in or whether it will have to be a 3.5 kilowatt charger. So in terms of what charging point to install, we've got several options. We could go for a cheap and cheerful Rolex unit, but the smart chargers don't have the RCD protection in them, and they need a Type A RCD, which this consumer unit doesn't have Type A RCDs in. So that would mean installing a separate consumer unit with a Type A RCBO or double pole RCBO, something like that, and an earth electrode, because there's no pen fault protection. Now, putting in an earth electrode for the charging point is going to be difficult in my opinion. I suppose possibly we might be able to use one of those small boxes and whack an earth rod down in here, but goodness knows what is down below there, and I wouldn't feel confident putting an earth rod in there, to be honest. This is like hard standing driveway, so that's no good. There's a bit of grass here that we could put an earth rod pit in, but I don't really like the idea of that either. That looks pretty awful. So in terms of basically any charging point that requires an earth electrode, I wouldn't feel happy about that. So that kind of puts Rolec out of the picture, unless we installed a MATI device, of course. Same with EO Mini Pro is quite a nice compact charger. We could put one of those in there, but again it would require a MATI device and a Type A double pole RCBO, which we could put by the existing consumer unit, I guess. There's not that much space, but it might be possible. I wouldn't be able to put anything in the meter box because it's absolutely full. So could we install an extra little consumer unit there next to this one? Well, yeah, we could, but then we'd have to get the tails from somewhere, unless we installed something off the existing consumer unit, but I don't really like that idea. So we could put in new tails to the main meter box outside and put a Henley block in. Let's see if that's an option. So in terms of putting a Henley block in, those are the tails going to the consumer unit, and there's not much slack on those at all, so that's not helpful really. We can't really go off this side of the main switch, so it doesn't really leave us a nice option for doing that unless we replaced the main tails to the consumer unit and made them longer, and then we could move this main switch and put a Henley block in maybe, but it's not really the nicest solution either, to be honest. So with all that bearing in mind, what if we put a Zappi charger in? My Energy Zappi doesn't require an earth electrode because it's got built-in pen fault detection device. Doesn't require RCD protection if the cable's clip direct or armoured, because it has its own built-in Type A RCD protection. So we could literally just put it on the existing consumer unit on an MCB, B40 MCB, and then run straight out. Just drill out the back of the consumer unit, or probably just drill out, like clip the cable down a little bit inside and then just drill out under here, and then run the cable all the way along to the charging point. Jobs are good. So for me, the best option is definitely a My Energy Zappi charging point, and usually that's the case, to be honest, because it's just so much simpler when you don't have to worry about Type A RCDs or even Type B RCDs in some cases, and earth electrodes or pen fault detection devices separately, like the MATI device. They take up a lot of space and it's just a bit of a nightmare. So let me know in the comments what you would do, but I think I'm going to quote from a Zappi charger here. So based on that, give me your price for installing a My Energy Zappi charging point in this property under the OLEV grant. So we'll have the £350 OLEV discount. Let me know your price, including VAT, and we'll see how close you get.